Okay, so we are on the record. This is ERD case number CR2018-01960 and EEOC case number 26G2018-01255C. The complainant is Willie Michelle. The respondent is Associated Bank. I'm Administrative Law Judge Stephanie Brown. It is Thursday, November 18th, 2021 at approximately 10 a.m. We are here for a hearing on the issue of probable cause, which follows from a discrimination complaint that Mr. Michelle filed against Associated Bank with the Equal Rights Division. He initially contacted the Equal Rights Division on July 13th of 2018. And after filing a perfected complaint on August 22nd of 2018 with the Equal Rights Division, alleging discrimination on the basis of race, national origin or ancestry, color, and for opposing discrimination in the workplace. After an investigation of the complaint on February 7th of 2019, an investigator for the Equal Rights Division issued two determinations. One was a preliminary determination in order, finding that parts of the complaint were not timely filed, and therefore those parts of the complaint were dismissed. Specifically, those were events occurring prior to September 16th of 2017. And then with regards to events that were occurring after that date, the investigator issued an initial determination finding that there was no probable cause to believe that Associated Bank violated the Wisconsin Fair Employment Law by discriminating against the complainant in terms or conditions of employment because of race, national origin, color, and discriminating against the complainant in compensation because of race, national origin, and color, terminating the employment of the complainant because of race, national origin, and color, and then discriminating against the complainant because he opposed a discriminatory practice under the Fair Employment Act, and discharging the complainant because he opposed a discriminatory practice under the Fair Employment Act. On February 22nd of 2019, Mr. Michelle filed an appeal. We treated it as an appeal of the preliminary determination and the initial determination. The case was assigned to a different administrative law judge to decide the preliminary determination appeal. And on January 30th of 2020, Judge Wasserman issued an order affirming the appeal, affirming the dismissal of the claims involving discrete employment actions taken by the respondent prior to September 16th of 2017, which she noted was failure to promote and transfer to De Pere. And so those claims she considered those claims untimely and affirmed the dismissal of those claims. However, she reversed the dismissal with regards to claims of harassment that occurred at the Green Bay branch. And so those claims then are something that could be decided here today as well. So we'd be looking at claims regarding harassment, and then all of the claims that I also mentioned with regards to the no probable cause finding relating to terms and conditions of employment because of race and color and national origin, compensation because of race, color, and national origin, and then the retaliation claims. Mr. Michelle, do you understand the issues that are at the focus of the hearing here today?
Yes, Judge Brown.
And Attorney Bullocks, do you understand the issues for hearing here today?
Yes, Judge, but just for clarity, the discrete acts of employment, I guess discrimination that were alleged in the case that occurred prior to September 16th, 2017 are not part of the case.
Right.
And that includes all of the failure to promote claims, as well as the transfer claims. I understand that the harassment claim may survive from Judge Wasserman's opinion and decision, but depending on how the evidence comes out, we may revisit that after Mr. Michael closes his case in chief.
Sure. And I just want to clarify as well, I cannot make findings regarding discrimination on those events that occurred prior to September 16th of 2017, but I know sometimes parties will kind of address some of those things, just kind of use as kind of like a background. So I'm not going to necessarily tell either party that you can't refer back to something that happened prior to September 16th of 2017, whether it's Mr. Michel in trying to prove his discrimination case, or the respondent in trying to disprove his claims or defend their actions. But I just want to Attorney Bullock's point, I just can't find whether or not those events were discrimination. So when I'm looking at issuing a decision and whether or not discrimination occurred, the only thing I can formally make a determination and finding of discrimination or probable cause of discrimination, I should say, are things that happened after September 16th of 2017. And then, as Attorney Bullock's mentioned, which actually Judge Wasserman mentioned in her decision, I'll have to make a determination whether or not there's a continuing violation with regards to the harassment claim, whether or not what happened in Green Bay with regards to harassment is something that can be considered a continuing violation for any claims of harassment that occurred at the De Pere location as well. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Before we begin, I just kind of want to again explain the process here today with regards to the hearing itself. I will start with Mr. Michel's testimony. And as I stated during the pre-hearing conference last week, I'll start by asking you some questions, Mr. Michel, based on the information in your discrimination complaint. You'll have an opportunity, though, if there's things that we don't address during my questioning, to present additional evidence when I'm done asking you some general questions about your complaint. Attorney Bullocks will have an opportunity to cross-examine you. Either one of you, if during your questioning, or Mr. Michel during your testimony itself, if you refer to any documents, just let me know that, because I can share them on the screen and bring them on the screen. And that's both what Mr. Michel, you presented as evidence, and then Attorney Bullocks, the respondents' exhibits as well. I understand as well, Mr. Michel, that you're going to call the two respondents' witnesses adversely. When it comes to them, I'll kind of turn it over to you, Mr. Michel, to ask those witnesses questions. I may jump in as well, though, kind of based on what I've heard you testify about. And Attorney Bullocks will have an opportunity to do any cross-examination, although I understand, Attorney Bullocks, that you're going to reserve kind of your direct examination until Mr. Michel rests his case. And so once that happens, then we'll have, it sounds like there might be some motions made at that point. I'll have to decide those motions, and then the respondent will put its case on, recalling the witnesses that previously testified. And Attorney Bullocks will start by asking those witnesses questions. Mr. Michel, you'll have an opportunity, once again, if there's anything on cross-examination that you want to ask the witnesses, to do so. I may have some additional questions for them. And then once the respondent has put all its evidence on, Mr. Michel, you'll have one last opportunity to put on what we call rebuttal evidence. It's not things that you've already testified about or could have testified about. It's more things that you were surprised to hear during the respondent's case. And so it gives you an opportunity to kind of address those things one last time before we close the record then. I also recall that there was some discussion, I don't recall what we decided with regards to making any kind of opening statements or closing statements. Mr. Michel, were you planning on doing any kind of opening statement, kind of summarizing your what you plan on proving here this morning?
Thank you, Judge, for addressing me in that regard. Yes, and one thing I want to mention right away, today, if possible, I'm ready for the direct questioning for Mrs. Coddington. I do reserve tomorrow. We will be here tomorrow because mentally I'm still, putting something for the direct of Mr. Van Den Breden. So yes, it will be much better for me to do tomorrow and presenting a brief, also a closing brief.
Okay, well, you're going to have to, if we get through your case in chief today, you're going to have to make a decision whether or not you're resting your case. But with both Ms. Coddington and Mr. Vanden Braden, like I said, you'll have the ability to ask questions on cross-examination. So if there are things that you did not address that come up during Attorney Bullock's direct exam of the witnesses, you can again ask those questions of the witnesses whenever they're called, whether that's later today or tomorrow if we don't finish.
But yes, I just want to make sure again for your calendar the way that you're handling the case, to let you know that I fully prepared for. I will call definitely on direct Mr. Vanden Braden tomorrow, and then finalize the case tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, well, it depends on how long we get through today. If we finish up with your testimony and your questioning of Ms. Coddington and Attorney Bullock's cross-examination of her, and it's lunchtime, we're not going to stop the hearing just so that you can wait until tomorrow to question Mr. Vanden Braden on your direct. I mean, we're planning on 2 days, but that means you need to get through as much of your case today as we can. I'm not going to reserve your case so that you have time to prepare. I mean, this case has been pending for months now. You've had a number of months, if not almost a year, I think, was when we were initially going to hold this hearing to prepare your questions for witnesses.
Okay. Well, it is again that yes, it is very likely it will be until tomorrow as I go with my direct questioning to them. Yeah, I just want to mention that. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
are we going to do opening statements or not? I mean, from my perspective, I don't believe that it's necessary, but obviously if Mr. Michelle wants to do it, and if Judge, you are so inclined, we can, certainly do that. I would just request a short break afterwards, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes before we get into the testimony.
Sure, that's fine. Are you ready, Mr. Michelle, to begin with your opening statement then, if you have one prepared?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can go ahead then whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, so I have that written so as a guide, so bear with me. And also, I just want to mention at some point, because it's on the first party I'm presenting this, if I get out, try not to get emotional, but
Okay.
I will, of course, get to it. All right, so I just want to begin by giving a background of what's to expect. During the course of the hearing, I intended to provide arguments and present evidences that will reveal far beyond the preponderance of the evidence standard that the respondent, Associated Bank, and its agent, by their collective actions, have allowed, supported, and thus intentionally violated my civil rights by discriminating against me due to my race, my color, and my national origin. From the very first week of my training, an individual named Barbara McDonald, whom attributed to herself the self-title, the most experienced banker at the Green Bay East Branch, where I started. She has begun to subject me to unwanted physical interaction by prodding me, shoving me aside, invading my personal space, shoving my hands from computer keyboards, seize and yank items from my hand rudely while other workers watch on my reaction. How would I react? This interaction, they soon followed by a strategic set of harassment that entailed a non-stop set of distracting techniques by hovering over me closely, look up upon my shoulders, that happened non-stop, calling my name rudely to distract me for no reason other than to harass me, calling my name, questions everything that I do itself. And of course, all that done with an ill and malicious intent. My work transactions, information I provide to customer over the phone and so on, has always been interfered with an ill intent to discredit and harass me. From there emanates a slew of opening verbal abuse which all of the other workers participated, supported, and provided cover for. I have on multiple occasions complained to my direct supervisor, Nate Vanden Breden, seeking his intervention to take action that will dissuade and ultimately resolve the harassment and attacks and hostility I had been subjected to. However, and to no avail, the hostility worsened and retaliation followed each complaint that I made. As I will illustrate, from the first few weeks of my onboarding training at Associated Bank, individual Barbara McDonald, when I was away from the branch, take a brief break from the branch, I went to Appleton, Wisconsin for a training that is away from the site. Barbara could not miss a beat. She could not miss a day in targeting me for harassment. She sent me a cryptic email advising, "It is Barbara using Kyle's computer. Kyle have some vouchers for you to get some logos for your uniform." I should mention here, of course, Barbara was deriding me because since I started, I wore brand name clothes, namely from Express. They're very nice clothes. I look very professionally for my job. And she suggests that I sue over the company logo on my brand name Express shirts. I was perplexed by it, but of course I'm a nice guy. I want to keep my job. I want to get along. I reply, "I will see you." In that sense, I will see you folks next week. I'm trying to mitigate the effect of what I know that's coming to see if there will be a change. Moreover, and importantly, Barbara ensured to mention here, she's using Kyle's computer. When I never received any type of email of such in my life, where somebody sending such of a message, and I see it's Kyle on top, and I thought it's Kyle, but it's written, "It's Barbara using Kyle's computer." And that's bothered me. That shook me. Kyle is a teller. I am the universal banker. Right over him, then there is a relationship banker, and so on goes to assistant manager. That's the rank. Kyle was below me. The lowest position at the branch, with whom, of course, Barbara team up very early. Kyle always at the ready and backing Barbara. Whenever Barbara is shoving me around, he's always there at the ready. I further intended to present evidence that on or around January 2016, the harassment hostility took a dangerous turn. Has ultimately assaulted me under the command of Barbara McDonald. Knowing I had previously reported these instances of harassment to Nate Vanden Breden with no consequences or a positive outcome, rather than retaliation and further harassment and hostility, I decided to reach out to HR Mary Cuddington. There again, after hearing to my complaint, HR, which is with Mary Cuddington, referred me back to Nate Vanden Breden, advising me, to put it simple here, next time I have an issue, I need to report directly to my supervisor to handle it. Pretty much shrug off my complaint and its severity. The harassment, hostilities, verbal abuse, forceful physical contacts by means of shoving into me, escalated again soon after. I then emailed Nathan Vanden Breden, after which Nate Vanden Breden offered me a transfer to the DPA branch, which was based on my recording recommendation. But clearly, to put it to the list, with all my interaction with my direct supervisor, Dan Nathan Vanden Breden, he had felt insulted of my courage to complain of harassment to HR, seeing clearly that I was retaliated against each time I complained to him directly. And because of a few more reasons that I then noticed, that I've taken notice of, while I was complaining to Mr. Vanden Breden, after my complaint to HR, I noticed then, after my complaint to HR, that agitation from Mr. Vidin. He often look at me askance now when I advise him of the mounting issue that keep on piling up. Whether that it was in a team meeting or a one-on-one meeting with him while I am at the branch then, Mr. Vidin, often knowing that I'm at earshot, it's a small little branch, very small, at the festival went, openly discussed with other colleagues, had disappointed he is with me at earshot that I can hear that. And I would just mention a few of them here that I recall. Mr. Brennan will have talked with the folks at the branch, and such as he will mention after that they write complaint. Don't look at a book based on its cover, alluding to my professional appearance while at work. Don't look at the book or its cover. Just don't look at that. When I complain to him, truthful things that happened to me. On another occasion, while Mr. Brennan was in his office and was talking about me, from what I believe it is HR, because I was complaining then, I can hear him very dismissive, with a dismissive tone of his voice, mention after talking with me with a complaint, and he had somebody with a child, I didn't know who exactly, that he mentioned to me. I was still in the small hallway, very small place. I can hear him saying with the door open, "It's Willie." Yeah, it's Willie. He was just an overhire, and he was explaining my complaint. Several other snaps followed. Yeah, Mr. Brennan started snapping quite often with me, getting quite hostile then. Mr. Brennan engaged me in front of all colleagues, striking conversation to embarrass me, mentioning such as, "Where do you live?" And under his breath, as to talk in the softer tone then, to somewhat emphasize on it. That's why he talked with the softer tone afterward. To emphasize his slight toward me, the author, "Likely you renting a room from somebody where cable and all utilities are included and share a shower." This is from Mr. Brennan, softer under his tone, and where all the team look upon. This is a small amount of things that get to my mind that I'm mentioning here. What I endured since my beginning to work at Associated Bank. I can't mention all of them because it's happened daily. I can't. There's no way that I can. It's all that I remember. And I never take note. It's never my intention to file a complaint. Never my intention to be here. And I will continue. Not long after my transfer into the pier, it decided I should move to the pier, which is a welcome. I think, wow, I'm leaving Barbara behind. I'm leaving Carl behind. Not long after, of course, all employees receiving email. There's email that came not long after that, sometime around February or March 16 then. And that email came, there's some promotion that's been made to the company. And I do believe it is Mr. Brennan because they were directly under Mr. Brennan. Both Barbara and Kyle Paulson get a promotion. Barbara was promoted to assistant brand manager, and Kyle Paulson promoted from teller to universal banker. Then he quit short after that. Right after that, 2 weeks later, he just quit. So I don't know the reason. All seems to be going well then, and smooth. It seems that way when I get to the pier, because I was with new employees. I was with Miss Megan, then the White Tower. Everything seems to be smooth down. Until, and of course, that happened, Mr. Nathan Vidin as I believe one of his titles is a market manager. Also, I'm going by memory there. At least once per week, Mr. Vidin will stop by that branch at the pier, and he will sometimes spend the whole 8 hours. Mr. Venn will take those time while I'm at the branch to step out of his way to use some slights against me, keep me hostile. Mr. Venn will suddenly, out of nowhere, take charge. It will ask me such things like this when I'm all professional and well dressed, out of nowhere. Really, could you take the trash? Just take the trash outside, take the trash, everyone. It's usually what I was doing in interaction, a transaction on the line. It will step to me and say that. That's happened quite often. I do it. I do it. On other occasion, when it snows, Mr. Event and Brandon, of course, the same routine will ask me at some point, would you map the floor? Could you map, all around the lobby? I do it. But again, I know on the way that's done, I know the intent of that, what it is. When he asks me for these things, among everybody else, I know it. Now I will move to 2017, sometime mid up until my termination in 2017. I was still working at the DPO branch. Suddenly, Barbara, that's been promoted for months, starts showing up at the DPO branch. Immediately, a few things happened. Miss Barbara started just where it's from now, only with the title of assistant manager. Of course, she's usually there when Megan and Braden is not there. When Megan is not there, she will be in charge. She came over. The same harassment continues. The same hovering continues. The same shoving continues. Added to that, there is the new hires. There was Sui, there was, of course, Christopher Moss. Then that was behaving very well. Miss Barbara take into account to everything that I train those new hires on while I'm on the floor. In every transaction that I do, Miss Barbara will redo them over. It would just redo the same because it was not done right, and redo it, and always pull those inside. And at some point where I can see that some of and mostly Surya, she's a very smart lady, she will look in the corner, what just happened here? Why that transaction was redone? And I can see the hostility then started right there, with Barbara coming over, still shoving me around, many other things that says, and that's there. The hostility then starts from the other new hires that were there. And I should brush over that quickly again there with my note. Up until the end of 2017, of course, Barbara McDonald came to the branch then at DP where I work. Ensuing she continues with her harassment and hostile attitude toward me. Of course, she corralled the new hires, mainly Suivan, Christopher Moss, and also Rachel Favor that's worked there to join her in an effort to keep me hostile. And of course, subjecting me to endure at all time, and that's at all time, her offensive conduct. That, of course, escalated then, not from just Barbara, but rapidly now it's from the new hires also. Excuse me. I would attempt also to bring into evidence the respondent's reprehensive acts of intrigues and fabrication to seek a cause to wrongfully terminate my employment. All along, the respondent, Associated Bank itself, through its agent, is seeking a cause then through those employees to find a reason that is valid enough to terminate me or quit. I want to make sure to also point out the respondents' overt acts of allowing individual Barbara McDonald to continue to harass me, to coerce other colleagues to join her in at the DPL branch. I will also point out the respondent's agent, Nate Van Breden, unrestrained and relentless pursuit to put me down with the ultimate goals of forcing me to quit. I will put into evidence respondent's constructive termination of my employment as a retaliation of my complaint of harassment, which is due to my race, color, and national origin. I will ensure to show that the respondent, in an effort of fabricating facts for a defense that is based totally on falsehood, that perjure themselves, provide inconsistent statement of facts, and at some point to mention it's only a mistake when you get caught in the deceptive practices. I will ensure to put into evidence the respondent's desperate and malicious efforts at creating fictional stories of sexual harassment in an attempt to find a valid reason to effect my employment discharge. I will make sure to go over that, to see all the manners the respondent is seeking to try to discharge me. Also, I will certainly show that the respondents, with the help of their legal counsel, concords and provides false, totally fabricated documents in an effort to show that I have acted upon my complaint of harassment and physical assault. I will ensure to do my best as I have leave and as I recall to outline everything the respondent has put me through, just because of my color, just because of my national origin, because I'm from Haiti, just because I do my job competently and expect to do it right, just because I present myself professionally, just because of them, just because that I complain, I have the courage to complain, seeking an adjustment of what's going on for me. The respondent take me as a liability just because I have the courage to complain, to say, this is the wrong happening for me. I am in fear now. The respondent decide maliciously to end my employment with countless of efforts, countless, total fabrication. There will be total fabrication that you will hear here today and tomorrow, total fabrication to find a valid reason to terminate me. It goes on and on and on. Thank you.
Did you want to do an opening statement, Attorney Bullocks?
Yeah, and I'll be really, brief, Judge, just, kind of for the record.
Sure.
But, respondent disagrees with just about everything that complainant Mr. Michelle said in terms of the merits of this case. This case, the evidence will show lacks any merit whatsoever with respect to the terms and conditions claims, I guess, relating to compensation and the suspension, as well as the termination claim, the bank had legitimate non-discriminatory reasons for all of his actions. On a termination claim, there's two parts to that. There's the retaliation piece, and then there's also the discriminatory discharge piece. And in both cases, the respondents' reasons for ending Mr. Michael's employment are well supported. They concern issues that spanned the course of his employment, involved multiple colleagues in different branches. And there's nothing in this case, we suspect the evidence will show to suggest that the reasons that respondent gave for his decisions were pretextual in any way. On a harassment claim, the evidence will show that the actions and conduct that Mr. Michael puts into issue are not severe or pervasive enough to amount to actionable harassment or create a cognitively actionable hostile work environment. As we've heard in opening statement, I think the evidence will show that most of the issues that Mr. Michael brings and puts at issue involved either misinterpretations of the actions of others, personal slights, perceived slights, inability to accept feedback, inability to adjust and receive any direction without getting offended. And those aren't actionable under the law. With respect to the compensation claim, the evidence will show that Mr. Michael was paid more than several employees outside of his protected class. So, no matter which claim you look at, no matter what angle you look at it, we believe the evidence will show that there's no support for the claims that are asserted, and that dismissal with prejudice is warranted, and that there's no probable cause to believe discrimination or retaliation or harassment occurred.
All right. I believe Attorney Bullocks, you said you wanted to take a short break at the conclusion of the opening statement. So why don't we take about a 5-minute break or so? I've got about 10:38 or so on my computer here. Why don't we come back at about 10:45, and
Okay.
we'll start with Mr. Michel's testimony then.
All right, thank you.
What I typically tell people is if you step away from your computers, if you want to stop your video and mute your sound, and then once you're ready to come back, and you can just turn your video back on and turn your sound back on, and then I'll know that we can go ahead and start then. Thanks. Back on the record then after taking a short break. As I stated, we're going to start with Mr. Michel's testimony. So, sir, if you can raise your right hand, I need to swear you in. Do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you will give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. And just kind of some background information. What is your current mailing address?
I have a PO Box 562, Green Bay, Wisconsin 54305.
All right. And you've alleged discrimination on the basis of your race, national origin, and color. So just for the record, what is the race that you identify as?
Black.
Okay. And same thing with color. What is that?
Black.
Okay. And then national origin, what is your national origin?
Haiti. And
Haiti.
that's gonna
Okay.
be, yeah, there's a Haiti. Yeah. So,
Okay. And like I said, I'm going to just start by kind of going through your discrimination complaint and asking you some questions about that. I tend to kind of go in chronological order. So the first thing, if you can kind of explain to me and address, is kind of how you found out about employment and at Associated Bank, and how kind of what you did to lead up to you becoming hired at the bank.
Yes. I moved here in 2015 with my wife, and soon after, as soon as I reached, I started looking for employment. I looked for some companies in Associated Bank. I applied there first, basically, well, I applied for an upper management position first. I walked to the branch and applied for it. Then, and that was the branch downtown. I was told, you know what? Uh, it was something with the corporate office rather that I applied for. I can't recall what it was. But then I was told, you know, try something with the, when I work with the downtown branch, try something for any of the branch. I didn't decide to apply with an assistant manager position for a branch, in-store branch, they call them, that is on the west side of Green Bay. I applied for that position. I later contacted by Jennifer Bauer. That's the recruiter that I was contacted with. She interviewed me. Everything went just fine with the interview. Then she later contacting me, as I recall. She said, well, Willie, for that position, we have another candidate that have more experience than you. Why don't you apply for a universal banker position? She just mentioned that, and I look at it. I needed a job, you know, I needed income. And I said, well, yeah, she said, it is very likely you will get that job if you apply for it, because there is a candidate for the same job you apply here at this branch that have more experience for you. That likely we will consider more. And with that being said, I needed a job. I applied for that position for the universal banker. I later interviewed with Nate, and then I was hired.
When did you interview with Nate for the universal banker position? Do you recall?
Good questions. Good question. Because I get hired in the dates and everything. Because I get hired in November 2015. It's sometime early November. It's gonna be sometime around there with the process.
Okay.
It's just take about 2 weeks or so, yeah. But it was quickly. After that, basically what Jennifer told me, you know, and many people tell me that, go, here's the number, apply for, then you get the job. It was, I mean, I went to an interview for it, but it was sure that's a way she was telling me, you're gonna get this job, basically, yeah.
And when were you hired again? What date were you officially hired?
Not the date, but it was November 2015. I
Okay.
didn't get the right date. You know, it's somewhere mid, yeah, it was November 2015.
You thought mid-November?
Sometime mid-November.
Okay.
November 15th. Now, certain place I might have it on the paperwork where I write it, because then, you know, since then, but it just is not here in my mind.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I would say if you don't know the answer to any of my questions, don't guess. Like you said, maybe we'll see something as we're going through documents and things like that.
Yes, thank you.
So you're hired as a universal banker. Can you tell me kind of what the job duties are for that position?
A universal banker, it's like you do transaction like a teller will do, if you see what that is. But however, a universal banker open account, you do talk with you open account, which is teller done. I guess that's one of the main difference. A teller does not open account or sit or trying to do any sell. Teller don't do sell, but universal banker, you open account, you try to sell, you offer product. Sitting, you know, with a customer, offer product. And also, I believe one of your metrics, I would say, is you got to make sale. So basically, your metric, you got to make sales, like open credit card. There's another thing, it slipped my mind, that's very important back at the branch then, was home loan. It's somewhere where you put your home, like home loan as a, to get a loan. I can't remember the term, sorry. But it's when you put your home down so you can get a loan. So you put back again. So those things, we offer those things also.
Okay.
It is once you get those, you get points for that. Actually, you get money for that. You refer them to one of the further agent. As long as those people qualify, etc., you refer them to one of the agent that finalize the sale. Then you do get money, some type of a reward for that. That's in a nutshell. Other thing, of course, you always do There is I would say, administrative type of work that you do, paperwork, security, the vault, secure, you follow all those protocol. I would say also that importantly, you get instructed on money laundering. They, they want you to, with a limit, of course, to know what the signs are, and you can, of course, reporting them. There is, and I can't remember the term. I think it's SI. It's not SIU, but it's the intelligence department that they have, where when you see those structured, what they call as a structured type of, people, that there's a limit. I can't recall that, so, because 3,000, you don't have to report it to the government. So when you see those things, and you feel free to report them, and you can pass over your boss, your immediate boss, to send them directly if you see anything like that where to be at the branch. That's basically some of the main thing. It was about sales, it was about customer service, and it was about security. Make sure you protect the bank, the assets, etc. A lot of protocol also. You might understand with the bank, sometimes you might get robbed physically, etc. You watch for those things. And I would say, other people that's still another way. I'm talking about customers wise, that either, fake check, or one of the things that we went also that was very important, that's happening a lot in the branch, it's scam. Watch for scam. People that's coming, older people. When you see people start doing certain, you can ask them certain questions to see, do you know where you're going to send that money order you're trying to do from us? Do you know who asking you to do those transfers? You watch for those things for them in a certain limit, that you let them know. Are you sure? Or you can forward that up also to the financial investigation, something up. You can send those type of transactions that you suspected, then they take it from there. So overall, that's kind of what a universal banker is. And if I may add, because of that case, the way that is, if I may add, the branch that I work, they will do everything a big branch will do. We just don't have, what we don't have, Judge, we do not have vault. Because I do believe that's what all the managers are. The only thing we don't have is vault services. But we do everything another branch does. It's just that we are smaller. We interact a lot with customers because we're trying to get customers in to open an account. That's why we are inside of a festival branch. Interact with a lot of people, tell them to can open an account, in a lot of promotion that we do. So, and I should mention, let me get to the point here quickly, is that those branches are so small, even though there's a manager, there is a assistant manager. Once you get to a universal banker, I would say that's where you do, even though you don't have the authority or the title, that's kind of universal banker, as it says, universal banker. That's, let's say, you do everything. Because many times when the manager, Megan, mostly not there, I am the one at the DP branch alone with 2 tellers or 1 tellers.
So where did you start working again? Which branch did you start working at?
The East branch, inside the festival, the East branch, they call it. They call it East, which is somewhere in Bellevue, Wisconsin, in Green Bay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically it, Judge.
Sure. And then who was the supervisor, or the manager, I should say, at that branch when you started?
At the East branch, he was Nathan Van Braden, and there was a new assistant manager, Miss Pius, Samantha Pius, that was very recently there. Started just probably not a month before that I joined.
Do you know Samantha? Do you know how to spell her last name?
I believe it's Puis.
All right. And she was the assistant manager, you said?
Yes, still on kind of a training, yes.
Okay. And so in your complaint, after you kind of talk about kind of your hiring, you kind of go into what things were going on there, specifically with regards to Barbara McDonald. And you said in your complaint how she was harassing you. So can you tell me, I guess, first of all, how soon after you started working at the East Branch and in the Festival Foods that you came into contact with Barbara McDonald?
Immediately.
Okay.
It started very early, Judge, because as one of the email that I sent, that I just hold it, I didn't delete it. I usually don't keep things, and there's a reason for that. I don't keep things because I think I can overcome everything. I'm a nice person. I'm a nice person. I will do everything. I'm always a smile, at work, smile with people. It's very early. What I find out is that was my first job, of course. That was my first job that I go in person. I was getting used to everything. I have to say now, I was not welcome. If I know the reason, psychological, what the reason is, I don't know. But I find something strange from where I lived before, from Florida to here. Miss Barbara, as soon as that I start, I'm a competent person. I know what I'm doing. I speak English I have an accent. I speak English very well. I can speak professionally. And Barbara put some type of interest on me that is not, let's say, a professional one, because you have to be. I am emotionally intelligent. I can tell when somebody. She do certain innuendo. It started with innuendo with the work that I do. Is to not to mock me is not the word. To make me feel incompetent, but needlessly. Any simple task, counting money, blah, blah, I want to count it again. Standing by me if I'm counting money. And we try to take it from my hands. And I know now I don't want to be rude when you're a new person. I will count the money. She will start making fun of me, and want to make sure she recount it for me. Things strange that happen. Now, this is a small community. Many of the customers, actually, she does that, knows her, and they look up on, they laugh, etc. I know something was wrong, and I was certain with my nicety, being nice, it would have changed. It didn't change. It just get worse. It get from every transaction that I do, she's there, even though that I do it right. And I'm talking about counting money, not even the system. Then when I work in the system, everything, she will try to redo it, getting very close to me. And what I mean that and I mean, George, next to me. And it's happened so often that it is what I would call, by definition, is the harassment. It's happened so much and unneeded that I'm always on edge. I'm always on edge. I'm always on the watch. Then it just escalates from there, from where words start saying, yelling, the tone change and everything. And I will stop there to let you advance, please.
One question I forgot to ask was, what was Barbara McDonald's title or role at the branch?
At that time, she was a relationship banker, which is one step over me. And more importantly, because Samantha Hughes was fairly new, couldn't be there for more than a month, she was technically training, like the hands-on training Samantha Hughes, because they're always together, training together.
Was she training you at all?
Whoa.
Well, I guess we'll start with Barbara McDonald. Did she ever have any responsibility training you when you started?
Yes, of course, because I would say for the system wise, of course, finding your way to the system, yes. If I have questions, of course, I will ask any questions. Which way to get to this, to that? Yes, at some point, yes. And that's for everybody. Actually, yes, it was, because certain time when I asked Samantha would say, "Oh no, I'm fairly new. I'm learning the same system you're learning." And Barbara was the longest. Yes. If I have questions, I address to her. Yeah.
Who else besides you, Barbara, and Samantha were working at that branch when you started?
As I'm recalling, there was, of course, Kyle. That's another person over there. There was actually, his name just came up when I was looking at the document. I couldn't remember his name because he was part-time. His name is Conor. I can only know him as Conor, Conor. Part-time. Then Michael was also there. Michael, I can't say the last name, kind of a Dutch last name. I can't say, but it's Michael. His name is one of those documents that the respondent present his name somewhere here as a witness that give information. And then Nate. We were the one that worked there. Anybody else, if they came sometime, but those are just people that came for a one